Remember the swine flu outbreak in the US in the spring of 2009? Well, according to the CDC's website, the WHO declared the swine flu a pandemic on June 11, which was insane as only a few people had died from the infection. But it was spreading from the US to other countries, and that made it a pandemic. Now, if you're as old as we are, you know that this is not severe enough to be called a pandemic. Not even close. Our encyclopedias read, a pandemic consisted of simultaneous epidemic outbreaks worldwide with enormous numbers of deaths and illness. That was precisely the definition used by the WHO. Until May the 5th, 2009. On that day, 5 weeks before the official outbreak of the swine flu pandemic, the WHO quietly changed the definition by removing the severity and high mortality criteria. What was left? Just the spread of a disease over several countries. How convenient. Now guess what? The NIH denies that the definition of a pandemic was ever changed by the WHO. Shame on those who say otherwise. It has undermined the public trust in health officials. Seriously? Have a look at the evidence. Not that you can still find it on the WHO website. Everything has been deleted. But there's a magical tool called the Wayback Machine. You can delete all you want from the internet, but it never disappears. It just gets hidden in a different place when nobody looks for it. The Wayback Machine helps you track the original site, page, or even sentence. See for yourself. Just a random day in 2003, enormous numbers of deaths and illness. March 2009, enormous numbers of deaths and illness. May 4, 2009, enormous numbers of deaths and illness. And then, May 5, 2009, a completely different story, but no real definition yet. They were still thinking about it, or so it seems. The next day they changed it again. May 6, a pandemic is a worldwide epidemic of a disease. Pandemics can be either mild or severe in the illness and death they cause. And it stayed that way. So, NIH, what exactly did you say again? The WHO did not change its definition of pandemic influenza. And what did you say to those who claimed the WHO did change the definition? It undermined the public trust in health officials. No shit! We wonder how that happened. And it only gets better. Let's have a look at the CDC's very own timeline. April 15, first human infection. April 17, second human infection. April 21, the CDC starts developing a candidate vaccine virus. My, 2 flu infections and oh my god, we're all gonna die! We need a vaccine? But hey, let's not judge. They are the professionals, alright? They know what they're doing. One day later, April 22, the CDC activates its Emergency Operations Center. Wow, don't you feel safe knowing that these people are there for you when you need them? I mean, 2 people get a new kind of flu and voila! Ready to save lives. And look how professional that is. April 23, 2 more people are now infected. April 24, the CDC uploads complete gene sequences of the new virus to an international influenza database. Why am I thinking about unicorns right now? April 25, the WHO declares a public health emergency of international concern. Well, of course they did. 4 people down with the flu. What else could they do? April 28. The FDA approves a new CDC test to detect H1N1 infections. Wow. Now that's what we call dedication. In 2 weeks' time, this test was both developed and FDA approved. In July, only 3 months after the first US infection, the CDC stopped keeping track of new infections or casualties.
We found was by the 3rd week in July, the CDC advised states to stop testing for individual cases of H1N1 flu, and they stopped counting individual cases. The rationale that the CDC gave was, well, why continue wasting resources tracking when we already have established there is an epidemic? Why continue wasting resources tracking when we already have established there is an epidemic?
What followed was identical to the SARS-CoV-2 script. But there were no lockdowns. It suddenly stopped. The WHO officially declared the end of the pandemic in August 2010. What happened? On October 21, 2009, CBS investigative reporter Cheryl Atkinson told Washington Unplugged that 3 months of investigation had proven that only a tiny percentage of suspected cases turned out to test positive for the swine flu.
If you've been diagnosed with probable or presumed 2009 H1N1 or swine flu in recent months, you may be surprised to know this. The odds are you didn't have H1N1 flu. In fact, you probably didn't have flu at all. Only a small fraction of cases that doctors flagged as most likely to be swine flu actually tested positive for swine flu at state labs. The vast majority of the cases were negative.
There were hardly any real cases, contrary to what the public was told by the mainstream media. But Atkinson's shocking discoveries were not aired on TV. It was Dr. Wolfgang Wodark, lung specialist and former chair of Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, who told the world that the swine flu was only a mild flu. He called the WHO's false pandemic flu campaign one of the greatest medicine scandals of the century. Dr. Wodark was a well-respected and very well-known physician and politician. His message reached many millions of people. It seems